Purva.
Hi, Mala.
Purva, do you want to be able to record as well?
Yes, please. Just we should have a, just in case Mr. Suresh's recording thing doesn't work, probably good to have a backup.
Yeah. So, would you like to be alternate as well?
Sure, that works.
Just in case my thing has issues, let me see.
Sure.
No, I'll make you after I admit everybody if I need to. Okay.
Sure.
I can't admit anyone. Let me just.
Should be able to.
Okay. Now I made you and Suresh. I gave you and Suresh ability to record. Hopefully you got that.
Okay, mine is recording already.
Oh, perfect. So you should also try it.
As is mine, yeah.
The last time in a program I recorded, it didn't work out for me. That's why I'm a little worried. Let's see.
Yeah. So today I'm not going to change host because last time that's what I think goofed up the recording session.
Okay.
And so I'll just leave me as host. And you both also start recording and hopefully us will
Next is the share screen.
Yeah. Next.
If I click now, what happens? Let me see. Post disabled participant screen sharing. That is something you'll have to enable.
Okay.
For us to take out the screen and again go back.
I'll do that. 1 second. Where are you?
Again, participants.
Make host. Allow.
Hello, Mala.
Hi. So, Suresh, I don't know how to do that. I have to look for it.
It will show in my screen, I think.
Share screen. Multiple participants can share. Here you go.
That's it. That's it.
Purva, do you see that too? Are you going to share?
I won't see that because you are the.
Yeah, I have a couple of the. Hang on, I have some of the things to share. Okay, yeah, it's allowing me to share the screen, not a problem.
I
have some
now authorized for me. Let me try.
Oh, perfect.
Let me try now.
Okay. I'm viewing your screen now, Suresh.
Wonderful. Let me see.
I can see screen. You're scrolling through something, right?
Good.
Hi.
Hi.
It's working. That's what matters.
Okay.
Yes.
There.
Good.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now I want to see if I can go out of recording and come back on my own, or do I need your help? I'm stopped sharing now. We are back to normal.
Yeah.
I'll share again and see if it works.
Okay.
It works.
Okay.
That's it. So that problem is not there. Okay, wonderful.
Internet
I don't have to ask anybody's permission. I keep sharing whenever needed.
Okay. Great.
Good.
Hi, good evening.
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
Hi. Hello. We're all here.
Hi. Oh, the 10 of us already. Okay.
You know what? Shift rooms. Okay.
Somebody has a phone on as well. So,
Okay. So, will you tell them? Yes. Yeah. So, well, there's mute, there's stop, and there's zoom.
yeah, that's great.
Good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Anand. Hi, Alagu and Jyoti are together.
Hello.
Hi.
Together.
I'm the new kid.
Yeah.
Hi.
Not necessarily a kid.
Hi.
But...
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Anandi.
Hi, Anand. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you.
I'm
Hello.
in Jyoti's house.
The two authors are together.
Where are the authors?
Yeah. By the way, do I need to push? Can you see my face or what?
We can see you, but we cannot see Jyoti.
Yeah.
Jyoti, no. Jyoti at the moment is going to another room. I believe two iPads can't be together.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Neera.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Mira. And hello, Deepa. Welcome. Nice to put a
Thank
face
you.
to your name.
Yes, indeed. Hi,
Yeah,
Deepa.
oh, there's
Yes.
Deepa.
Hi.
Hello,
Okay.
finally
Hi,
the mystery.
Deepa.
Yes,
Hello,
nice to
Suresh.
meet all of you.
Hi.
Okay. Now, I'm just wondering, can someone tell me if my screen is all right and am I in a position correctly?
You're good. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. There's Jyoti. Move to another room.
Yes, hi. Hello, Anandi.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you. Thanks. Nice to see all your faces.
I know, where are you? Are you in Chennai?
Is it to me? Yeah.
Yes, it's to you.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm here. I only go back next year.
Okay. That's good.
Where are you going back to, Anand?
My family is in Australia,
Okay.
but I'm sort of thinking of settling down here.
Okay.
So I've been here almost 2 years now, including Latika will tell you my story. She knows me. I know her for nearly half a century, I think. So you can imagine. We have always remained in touch.
Okay, that's great.
That's nice.
So I hear that Australia travel is opening up. My friend is
Just opening up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've got used to this place. I grew up here, So
Okay.
30 odd years in Australia didn't impress me that much.
Okay.
No place like home.
No place like home. Yeah.
I feel that too. I was away from here for most of my life.
Oh, yeah. The unique thing is that I started my career selling books here at Giggles Bookstore, and I continued running a technical bookstore in Australia for 30 years.
Oh,
wow.
So I grew up with books.
Very good.
Wow.
Lovely.
Amazing.
And I did a stupid thing, not a stupid thing, it's a good thing. I spent a decade studying in Christian College, Madras.
Yeah.
A decade.
The only guy I
1
know.
year.
Wow.
I joined in 1970 and I passed out in 1980. Don't tell me. I did my master's. I did my English literature. What do you call it? Undergraduate. First PUC, and then graduation in English literature. Then I did sort of master's in journalism in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. I went out for a couple of years. And I used to be a cartoonist, a political cartoonist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So during the emergency, my parents, we were actually American citizens by some roundabout. So they still call me Yankee. My classmates call me Yanks. Never been to America, no interest. But then I came back to Christian College in 1978 and did my master's yet again and passed out in 1980. So technically I was 10 years.
Oh my.
Wow.
Before that, 5 years in Christian high school. I noticed some of our contemporaries. And before that, Church Park for 5 years, till I was kicked out.
Oh.
Fantastic background. My school and my college also.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Joining engineering.
Yeah. Engineering, you just had to suffer through PUC, I think, and then you went.
Yeah. Up to PUC, I was in MCC.
Is it
School and college.
Happy
so
birthday.
I need to know.
Yeah, hi.
Sujata,
The
happy
birthday girl is here.
Yeah.
Hi,
happy
Sujata.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Jyoti, before you go, that's mute. That is mute and share with you. And
Hi, Maureen. We can see you.
oh, Maureen, what happened?
Yeah. What? You okay?
Are you okay?
okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Malavika.
Hi, Algo.
How are you?
Very well,
Sorry.
thank
I was reading one of your posts when I phoned you at some odd hour. I'm so sorry.
you. No problem.
Yeah, that's good.
And hi, Prema ji, how are you feeling? Prema, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling fine now. Absolutely.
Very good. Very good.
Just feeling lazy, that's all, nothing else.
But you're looking well, Prema. You're looking back to normal.
Yeah, I'm absolutely back. Went and did some shopping and came back. I'm just feeling dull, that's all.
Oh, okay. Why did you go out so soon?
What do you mean so soon? Oh, because anyway, forget it. It's a long, boring story.
Okay.
Everything is boring about housekeeping. Let's not talk about it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. That's true.
So agree with that, yes.
So let's give a few minutes for a couple more to join.
Yeah.
Where's Devika?
That's why. Just let's give a few minutes. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Where is she?
Here she comes.
Oh, okay. There she is.
Hello.
Hello.
Great. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Devika.
Hi.
Oh, look
Oh,
at
we're
you.
waiting
It's
for you with bated
colourful.
breath. We've all been
Waiting for you.
saying Devika, Devika.
No, come on, Prema. That's so mean. I rushed from another class. I mean, not venue to venue, but platform to platform.
From Skype to Zoom.
Devika, see this.
Hi, Lalita. Sorry?
Devika, see this. Thank you for the bouquet.
Happy birthday, Green
Happy
Fingers.
birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, let's say happy birthday in person. Yeah.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Well,
you.
Prema, in the circumstances, closest to person. Actually,
Yeah.
Hello, Ramesh.
so are we ready?
Hello, how are you?
Hi,
Yeah.
Good
Suresh.
morning.
Hi, Rameshan.
Hello, how are you?
Rameshan, are you
Have-
back on our soil? Are you back on our
Yes.
soil, Rameshan? Yes.
Yes,
That's
yes.
good.
I've been here for a
great.
month.
Feel good? Doesn't the
Oh,
soul
lovely.
feel good? The soul feels good when it comes back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Mine does for certain. I like to be back.
So, birthday girl, how are you?
Good. Doing good, Devika.
Start growing books.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Suresh,
That'll be
Suresh, that
lovely,
was
yeah.
too
Just
good.
go to a
Suresh,
tree.
Suresh, that was too good. I mean, just too good. That was too good. Thank you so
I better
much.
not show it to my son. He won't like it.
Exactly. No, we don't need a book, because we're getting it from Sujata's tree,
I know.
Okay. Are we ready to go? It's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start.
Couple of people are joining. Let them join. Tukaram is joining.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hi, Tukaram.
Good morning.
What is the time? 4 o'clock? 5
4.
o'clock for you?
4
Morning.
o'clock.
Why is this happening?
Tukaram is, I think, 4:30, no? For you? Morning?
He's not
Who's
able to hear
morning?
us.
4:30.
East Chicago. 5:30, I think. Yeah.
Hello, Jyoti.
Hello, Prema.
Hi, Jyoti. Hi, Prema.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh dear, something's happened to my setting. I'm not able
Okay,
to.
Prema, how are you feeling now? Better?
Fine. Yeah. I mean, almost okay.
Almost there. Viral flu, is
Nice.
it? Viral flu?
Well, yes, it was also part of stomach flu of some kind.
Okay.
Gastric flu or something. I
There's
don't
a
know.
gastric flu in town.
That's
Everyone's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Just
going
as
around.
I didn't have to have a drip and go to hospital, which many people I know have had to do. Had a drip and gone to hospital for the drip.
Oh, good Lord.
So thank God I escaped all that.
Hi, Letika.
Hello.
I
How
can
are
only
you?
see her ear.
You know what? This will remind me of lend me a year. Lend me a year.
She is lending her ears, all right, whether she's there or not.
Okay.
Hello, Jyoti.
Are we ready to go? It's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, let's start.
Okay. Okay.
So shall we start?
Yes.
Yes.
We have an attendance of 22.
Good.
Good.
Super.
One of the best.
Oh,
Okay. So today will be special. There's no doubt about it. Meet the authors. 1. You will notice that meeting them in a program like this is rather different from interacting with them in our usual monthly meetings format. The rules of engagement are simple. Each author has been given a 20-minute slot. They will be making a presentation, pitch, or whatever they want. And then the floor is open for the audience interaction till the end of the time slot. Any leftover questions from the audience should be directly taken up with the authors later. We are having 4 authors with us today. One. We all like mystery, no? So the next author is a mystery.
Who's starting?
Meera is starting. I'm showing them in the order in which they turn up.
Oh, I'm not.
Meera starts, then Deepa, then Jyoti, of course, we understand yoga at last.
That's a good one.
we go from gross to subtle.
And then finally, union with you, Alagu.
So this is the background. So let us start with Meera.
Oh, okay. That was a quick introduction. Well, thank you all so much. This is really something that I've been looking forward to since Suresh announced this. Thank you so much, Suresh, for he's been in constant touch with us, also telling us, giving us tips, etc., as well as strict timelines. So I will make it quick. I know many of you have read the book and also told me that you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much. For those of you who haven't, I think I'll just put a link of the book, or who might be new. This is my book. It's called The Eminently Forgettable Life of Mrs. Pankajam. And this is my first book. I'll just take just a couple of minutes to talk about the book and how it relates to the book club, really. I don't know if Sashi sort of attends our meetings anymore. He's not here, Suresh?
I don't think he's joined.
Okay. So the reason I came to the book club through Sashi, and how I know Sashi is through a writers organization or a writers group sort of thing called Writers Inc. This is the way the book came about, sort of. So this group is comprises writers. And what we did initially was there were about 6-7 of us. So what we did initially was write out one chapter each of a novel in progress and submit it to the group for critiquing. So that's the way that it started. So that went along for about, I want to say, 20 months or so. But it wasn't really working very well because people would just write in the last minute. It didn't seem cohesive. People are finding it difficult to go back and read the rest of it, etc. So we tried to change the format a little bit, where we said, let's submit 30,000 or 40,000 words. And instead everybody submitting, once in 6 months, people get a chance to submit. So this book sort of came from that. In the original book that I wrote, the chapters for is still lying in the back burner or the freezer or whatever you want to call it. But this sort of, raised past that one, like in a horse race, I want to say, but I'm sure there's a better term for that. And then it, sort of came to fruition. What else about the book? Well, I wrote it about 5-6 years ago, really. 5 years ago, right after the floods, the year after the floods. And it was written, like I said, I had to submit it. So I wrote the first draft in about 3 months or so. But the time it has taken is all for the revisions, the second draft to be written, and then chasing publishers, and then getting it published, etc. And the kernel of the book, really, the book talks about, it's written in the form of diary entries of a woman who is slowly losing parts of her memory. She's 63 years old. She lives in Chennai. and she has to come to terms with her children, what she imagines life is, love is, and all of those things, what it really means to suppress your memories, and what happens when they sort of itch to come out without your knowing, sort of thing. It was an experience to write that. And I think it has given me more empathy. My mother-in-law also started exhibiting signs of dementia, so I'm hoping that writing it has given me some amount of empathy that I can really use to understand what she's going through also. And as far as research for the book goes, I did speak with a few people as well as doctors to get some idea of what it really means. But a few creative liberties have been taken also with that. It's been doing well. People have said good things about it. I don't know if there's anything in specific that questions that people might have. So that's about the book and its publication, really. I'm just throwing it open for questions, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, writer's block.
See, the first three was the first draft was really quick. I think it's Ramesan who asked me that question. So the first draft was very quick. After that, editing was a chore. And I think, I'm being spoiled when I say that it's a chore, but it was really, I think that's where I got stuck a little bit. I had initially sent it out to a lot of people. A few people got back saying they didn't, rejections came about as well. And then I found an agent who took it up, Kanishka Gupta. He's a writer's side, is one of the top agents in the country apparently, and he took it up, and that's how I could get it published. And after that, when the comments came in to say, these are the things that aren't flowing well, or these are some of the changes, they don't really tell you how to change it, obviously, right? But say this isn't working well, and then to you though it seems like it's working because you're too close to it. Right? So that took a little bit of time.
And I have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ramesh.
No, it's a really quick question.
So I did know someone drastic from between the first draft and the final.
Not as much. The kernel of it was just about memory and what forbidden love means, and what how does that manifest itself when you lose. How does memory feed into that? So that was it. For those of you who might have read the book, initially it was a son and a daughter, not two daughters. Now in this final version, there's two daughters. The lady has two daughters, but in the initial version, there was a son and a daughter. And the ending has taken has gone through a couple of iterations to be where it is now. So those were the sort of primary changes that were made to the draft as such.
So in your case, Kanishka showed interest very soon, but just as out of curiosity, were you ever concerned about this copyright? And, when you send it in to the publisher, there are all sorts of schemes you read about on the internet. You send it by registered post with a bookmark, things like that. Did you have to do all that, or that was not much of a concern?
I didn't do all that because I also learned that if you send it through email, it's, if you talk about it at a dinner party with somebody, then that becomes an issue. But if you do have an email conversation with somebody, it's okay, is what I heard. And I think I didn't think too much. To be honest. So I think that didn't enter my head, and I just thought it was a story that has to be told. I didn't think that too much, rather, because I was already submitting it to this critique group. Any one of them might have been. It's just a matter of trust, I suppose, at some point. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not sure I understand Rameshan's question actually.
No. See, I knew a couple of authors or people who wanted to be authors in the US, and they were very worried about things like plagiarism and, what they've written shouldn't be stolen. So they were always trying to, when they sent it into a publisher, they wanted to make sure that they had some proof that it was theirs. So they came up with all sorts of schemes to do that. That's what I was trying to find out.
Yes. I've heard that, especially in the context of movies. I've heard that that's a big, you can see it like every day. There's cases about somebody having stolen somebody else's storyline, or,
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
a question for Meera, please.
Yeah.
The jackpot question. Is the climax, so to say, based on a person or is it a figment of imagination? The forbidden love part.
Yeah, it is a figment of imagination, actually. Yeah, that was completely. But mannerisms and stuff like that, you put one character and the other together, sort of thing. But the climax and what happens is all imagination. I'm sure somebody somewhere must be like that, but not to my knowledge. Yeah.
Meera, I just want to, I just want to tell you that that I've liked it. I've reviewed your book, so you know how much I liked it. But I just want to tell everybody else, I used to wait for nightfall when it's my fiction reading time, so I could get back to Mrs. Pankajam. So thank you, Meera.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it really means a lot. As soon as I put that in, I know I heard back from so many of you saying that you bought the book and that, Odyssey didn't have it. And also I was like, that was my mega dream. I'm so happy.
Still waiting to get it signed by you.
Yes, the physical meeting at Paka. Yes.
Meera, it is so entertaining that it's something that you'd like to buy just before you board a flight, and you'll be entertained right through the flight. And you'll finish it before you end. It's such a quick read.
Yes. Yeah, it is very short. So one of the things that people told me that it's too short to, be taken seriously or something like that. But that, how much do you stretch? Like, I said I can't stretch it, and that's all the story is. So I'm
glad you did.
Yeah. So there wasn't much more that I could do with it, and I was clear that I shouldn't just add an entry just for the heck of it, sort of thing. So
yeah, Meera, very readable. Probably finished it in one sitting.
Yeah, like you said, flight. Yeah.
Ideal. You should keep it at the airports. Ideal.
Yes, I know. I went around looking and I asked them also, I have heard of this author. Do you have that book? And they're like,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Meera, how many of you talked about this writers club? So apart from you, how many of the others have been able to publish? I'm just asking around.
Yes, yeah, sure. So from the initial thing, one book is under publication. It's by Praveena Shivram. Some of you might know, she used to be the editor of Arts Illustrated. So her book is about to be published now shortly. And another person, the one who got us all together, actually, Radhika Meghnathan, her book is published. It's called the Gurukul Chronicles, and it's a young adult book. It features 3 characters of the Mahabharata, young adult, Ashwatthama, Karna, and what's the other one? And another character that I think.
It's wonderful. That means this club was very alive and.
It was, yeah. See, it was just somehow stuff like this happens, right? The time that you wanted it, and after that disintegrated. Like really, I was working on the second book, but by then it disintegrated and then something. So sometimes things come perfectly when you want it, Mari. I just felt that it was sent to me, to us, all of us, for that reason alone. Yeah. And to meet Sashi and to come here to the book club also, that also was like, what?
Okay, I have a question for you, Meera. Now, is your title a bit tongue-in-cheek? Because we did not find her life in the least unexciting or whatever, because I think it's much more exciting than the kind of lives we have led. I don't think I could have added my daughter having a same-sex marriage, a love affair with my brother-in-law. I mean, these are not things that could have happened to me. So is it a tongue-in-cheek title, or was it intended to be like that?
Yes, basically it was a pun on the word forgettable, because she's so sort of
because
thing,
of that. Okay.
Yeah, so yes, one of the things that before it was published, I was very scared that some reviewer would say this is an eminently forgettable book. So that was the only thing that was running in my head. After we frozen the title, that was all that was in my head. But thankfully, nobody said that yet. So yeah.
But I must say, it's a very new age book, Meera.
Oh, thank you.
It's really of today's time. And I think, this is when we're all accepting the gay marriage, it's coming into focus just now. Correct. So you have really brought it out at a very good time when people can understand, okay, this is normal. It's the new normal.
Correct. And also, I think sometimes, we don't understand what a senior citizen might, because it's a complete worldview shift, right? In many ways. Yeah. So sometimes we just say, why can't you just be more accepting? But there's lots more that goes into it in terms of conditioning, etc. So that's also something. Because even I'm like 40 plus, right? Even a lot of my friends would say this, right? I'm okay with my child marrying anybody, if it's a daughter, like except another girl. That sort of thing is still there, right? It's. I think sometimes when we read the books, English books that are not from here. we may we may think we are there where we are more accepting, more rights, but really in our heads, how much we are, unless it's rooted in what the reality of our times is, sometimes there's a vast difference between what actually happens and what you think and what you read and what you think. I think parts of Pankajam, where she says, because I read a lot, I know a lot, right? So I think part of that is also for me, right? Because just because I read so much doesn't mean that I'm more evolved or anything, not necessarily. So I might be, but it's not necessary just because I read. That doesn't happen automatically.
I think,
so when you wrote
can I say something? I think we are more accepting of many things when it happens in the West and not really when it happens here. And so I think your book was a very brave book. I really enjoyed it. I haven't finished it because I'm reading it side by side with Caste.
Okay.
It's really what you need after you read a chapter or two of Caste.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you wrote your first draft, was it like like doing homework or something, or was it enjoyable for you from the beginning?
It was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable. The first draft was very enjoyable, but which is why I think I could finish it in such a short time. Like I said, the other book that I had submitted chapter by chapter still languishing, and that's something that sort of ran out of steam, I suppose, in some sense, till I pick it up again or whatever, right? So yeah.
I think is that why they say you have a book in you and the book comes out. So
probably that. Yes.
It's got its own kind of existence.
Yes.
And Meera, were there any family members of the elder ones who looked at the book and said scandalous and okay,
I can't name who. Okay, a relative of mine who goes by the same name as the husband of the main character. So he said, what more she wants? What is this she wants? She has a husband who is there. What else? Why is she cribbing? Why is she writing so much and complaining and all? I was like, okay, I don't know. Did you ask your wife whether she liked the book? Was what I wanted to tell them, but.
So you know what you have to do, right? Right after this Zoom, after you log off, Meera, start on your second book.
Yeah, well, my second book is lying with that agent who's trying to sell it. So not been successful so far, but let's see.
Okay, that'll come now. The third book. Okay, we're waiting.
Done. Yes, let's hope so. Aapke muh mein ghee shakar. Yes. See, I was a good girl, huh, Suresh? I told him, Pakka, I'll finish it within time. Because I'm first, especially because I'm first, it won't take up any more time. See?
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Really.
Thank you, Meera.
Thank you. Lovely
Thank you.
meeting
Bye. Lovely.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. To meet in person.
Thank you all so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Meera.
Good
Lovely
meeting.
conversation.
We all enjoyed the book thoroughly. That we have to say. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again so much. Yeah. I will mute
This is our
myself
history
and leave it to
author now.
Suresh.
Let's give the floor to the second author, Deepa.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
I think it's just very strange, that I'm kind of joining this group right with starting off talking about my book, and not really being part of the group. Otherwise, I've actually relocated from Bombay recently, and fortunately, Tejo auntie is also here. When I'd come back to Chennai, I said, I'd love to join a book club because back in Bombay, I used to be part of one. I used to run one. And, so I said, I really want to be part of a group here in Chennai, and so she connected. So I'm new to the group. I'm new to the city. In some ways, so I'm really happy. And I must say, Meera, I've been hearing some really great reviews about your book also online. And it's a tough one to go after Meera's, talk. And obviously, all of you read it, all of you have loved it. It's really interesting. And there'll be some resonance with the book because my book is also about memories, So and I'm obviously a little bit awkward because I don't know any of you now, but I hope we will get to know each other. Yeah, so I'm going to actually ask you two questions before I jump into the book. The first being that, have any of you ever been in a situation where you had to take a flight, like an oddly hour, and you still could manage to wake up on time without an alarm? A show of heads, a show of hands.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, yes, of course.
All the time.
All the time, right?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Most of us. And also, have you ever been in a situation where you were in a hurry, looking for a mobile, your wallet, or your keys or something, right in front of you, but you still couldn't see it?
All the time.
All of us.
Normal.
Yes, and this is exactly the kind of a stuff that my protagonist is going through in the book. So at one level, her unconscious mind, we will call it unconscious mind, is guiding her, telling her to wake up, and yet at the other time, she's also being very selective in what she's seeing, and that really is this journey that she's going through of understanding that there is a guide within her, but she's been ignoring it all her life. So my book really is called The Hangover of Choices. And because none of you actually know much about it, and I obviously understood that from the group chat also, is that maybe it's a good idea for me to do a synopsis of what the book is about. But I'll tell you what is the background to it. Again, I'll find a lot of resonance with Meera's work, I'm sure, because I work in the gender space. I work in the gender equity and mental health space. So we work on gender rights, including sexual orientation, transgender rights, and mental health with corporate organizations and also non-profits. So that's really the work, and that's what I've tried to present in the book. And so what I'll do is that I'll read a synopsis of it and give you a background about why I wrote this book, and then we'll get into a bit of Q&A. And I'm sure Suresh is watching time. In case I do, I'm sure I'll be alerted. So I'm feeling safe on that one. Yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so the hangover of choices. Nidhi Verma finds herself having an extraordinary experience while she's on her deathbed under unexpected circumstances. As the doctors work furiously to identify the underlying causes that led to her sudden collapse, her mind starts to take a walk down memory lane to find its own reasons. With each increasing dosage of medication, she slips deeper and deeper into the storehouse of her memories, many of which she had kept carefully buried. She desperately tries to shut them out, but one unwanted scene continues to play after another. She's forced to now watch the movie of her entire life, only this time as a viewer and not the actor. Each vision raises uncomfortable questions and reveals aspects of her personality that she had denied. Forced to now confront issues related to her forgotten sexuality, jealousy, and the complicated relationships with her best friend Zia and her husband Kumar, Nidhi begins to see herself in a new light. As illusions start to fade, she's keen to now live a more authentic life and become a better version of herself, while equally embracing her flaws and vulnerabilities. The question really remains, will she make it alive to live her life differently? So so that's what the book is about. It's about a woman's journey where she suddenly becomes the protagonist and the actor of her own life at the same time. And as she's watching her life, as the viewer, she's wondering, why is the protagonist not doing this? Because it's very clear that this is what this person is supposed to be doing, but you can't do anything about it because you've already taken the action, right? So there's a sense of regret. And so that's really what the book is about. And I'll quickly tell you why I felt this desire, this deep need to write it. Like I said, I work in the mental health space and, gender and all of that. And a lot of times during workshops, people would come and after the workshop, they'd say, I really wish I'd done something different. I had this regret. I wish I'd not made this decision. And so there's a sense of regret that, I made out of in my life. Then there are these external pressures, to need to look perfect. I need to be successful. The body image issues, especially with all the Bollywood and all of these showing perfect bodies. There's so much pressure on people to look good and to be successful. And these are constantly playing up in our minds. We always talk about mental health from the space of illnesses or something very serious, but these are daily issues, that all of us are battling. And I felt the need to talk about it because I'm also a Buddhist, I'm a philosopher, I'm a student of philosophy rather. all of these things, and I felt the need to write it. And so I said, what's the best way to do it? Let me put it in the form of fiction, because that way it is going to be self-discovery and not prescriptive. So the book is meant to only be a trigger for people to think about some of these aspects, which we are actually brushing under the carpet. So that's really what the book is about, and why I felt the need to write it. And I just want to share one thing, because Suresh did say this, and it really struck me, and and even Meera, you talked about it, and one of you actually mentioned this, I don't remember who. In every reader exists an author. In every reader there is a book that is waiting to be told. And sometimes these journeys are very difficult to actually cross over. And how I made it interesting for me was I actually used to go off on creative holidays, take a month off. I'm single, so I have the liberty to be able to do that. Go to a village, find a get out of the town, sit and work in a place that had no networks. I'd literally be out of connection from the world. And while exploring the life there, I was also exploring my inner life that actually came forward in the book. Yeah, and at this point, I think I should stop talking and ask if any of you have anything to ask me.
Well, I have the first question. How old is Nidhi at this point of time? I mean, I'm just trying to get what's the maturity like, or how old will she be like?
Yeah, she's mid-age. She's 35.
Okay, that's young. It's not. I mean,
I know that. I was thinking that too, like mid-age. Our demographic
is definitely young. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's at that age that you actually start, thinking about life, midlife crisis, as we call it. Yeah.
35.
Yes, 35.
So
very
is the
young,
character?
really.
Actually, for us, we call it baby crisis.
So did you make the character so young because you felt that perhaps she would survive this crisis, this medical crisis, and that if she does, then she would remember all her flashbacks, and she would actually have time to kind of change her attitudes. Even if she can't undo her decisions, she can do something towards just thinking differently and acting differently and make amends. So was that the reason why she's only 35?
Very good question. I haven't really given it this kind of thought. Probably that age, because I relate closer to it, honestly. So at one level, that is what it is. And the other also, not that I'm 35, I am also in my 40s, but I somehow have a closer connection to that age group, probably one. And also because, it's about literally the groups that I work with. The groups I work with are in that age bracket, between a 25 to a 50, right? And this is more so in the 35 to a 45 is when people are thinking, oh my God, I have only, my life seems to be like it's progressed so much, but have I progressed? My life is there. I've done so much. I'm running all the time, but I'm still standing at the same place. This is the feeling that people have shared with me in that age bracket. So that's why the character, I wanted to make her, because that is my experience of that age group. Yeah.
How difficult was writing this book? Did you face a lot of difficulty, or was it a breeze?
Well, it was not exactly easy, because it was not an easy book to write, because I went through several iterations also. Writing flows more easily to me when I write on my subject matters, right? But this book didn't flow so easily. And yet, it wasn't so bad also. Like, I didn't experience writer's block at all during the writing process. I experienced it exactly during the editing process, Meera. It just kind of, once you start writing, I think it just flows, yeah.
Very, very fascinating, Deepa, your journey as well. I think there's many parallels. As soon as I read that, plus it has some yellow on the cover, and I was like, okay, I have to read this because it looks very, very similar to mine.
Yes.
Another question. No, both Meera and Deepa. Do you all? I always wonder, because I would only think of writing as a script, hand, because that's my generation. But I hear that most people nowadays just type out their thoughts. Was yours a first draft also on the computer, or was it a handwritten script? I mean, just to understand how the 35-year-olds and the 40-year-olds were.
For me, it was not the entire script was handwritten, but the beginning parts of it were definitely handwritten, because I needed to connect with the characters, and somehow for me doing it on the laptop felt a little clinical. I didn't feel the connect. I felt it wasn't flowing through me, so I was writing it actually, in the beginning, and then I realized that this is going to be tougher, because each time I went back, sometimes I want to make changes to that first line or the first chapter itself, then to go back and make those physical changes was becoming more time consuming. So I said, I'll be practical about it. And then I switched. But I always carry a notebook and a pen wherever I go. And sometimes I'm writing in a place that it just inspired me, and then I transfer it back onto a laptop. So I'm quite traditional in that sense.
Sorry. No, just out of curiosity, talking about technology, did any of you ever consider using IBM's Via Voice or Dragon Naturally Speaking? Because they work very well nowadays. They recognize the Indian accent, almost to 95% accuracy in transcribing voice to text. And that may just be a different experience. I mean, to be able to think your thoughts out aloud and basically think the book out rather than write it in a way.
Oh. My God.
That did actually came to me as an option also. Somebody did suggest, since you sit and you take a book and a pen everywhere, why shouldn't you actually be carrying, or, your mobile? But it just didn't feel right, because when you're hearing your own voice, it has a different meaning to it.
Yeah, like we used to before.
Yeah.
And I don't think like that.
From iTunes, I have to sync it.
Sitting down and writing somehow is easier than actually thinking your thoughts aloud. The way one expresses, right? I mean, I express myself completely through writing. So when I sit down and write, it's very easy to actually express rather than speak it out. Somebody puts me in front of a video. In fact, this morning I was struggling. I've been asked to make a video, for something, and I've been like, oh my God, this is so tough. Why don't you just tell me to write it? I'll write it and please share it like an article. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now this girl, I mean, no one is an island really. So when you're talking about her choices or her reactions or her decisions, that means it also included other people, isn't it, who were with her or whom she came across in the course of her work or her daily life, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think, tell me.
Please finish.
No, I said to that extent, it is a bit like Mrs. Pankajam, because her experiences are based entirely, there are other people always around in the periphery, Maybe they're not the center of the book, but they're always there.
For sure, I mean, none of us live in isolation. So for sure, her choices are not, it's always sometimes also a comparison, my choices in comparison to the other person's choices.
Yes.
So it's not that it's just my choice. My choice sometimes I've made because someone else has made, I want to make that choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes the regrets are coming because I've seen somebody else do that and they've done well in my eyes, So it's a comparative also sometimes. Sometimes it's in isolation because I didn't have the guts to do what I wanted to do, So it's an interplay of many of these aspects that the book really covers.
So are these characters important in the play, or is there more of introspection rather than these peripheral characters who are there, obviously?
They are very, very important in the book.
They are. Okay.
They are very important. Each character, there are not too many characters. There are only 4 prime characters, and each one has a very important role to play. In fact, a lot of the book is her relationship with her best friend Zia, but not a sexual relationship. It's a friendship, a female friendship where jealousy stems in. Where comparisons stem in. So a lot of her reflections is also based on how she has seen Zia's life pan out for herself, So.
Yeah, very
So
nice. It's intriguing.
It's very much.
Yeah, I think we'll pick up the book and check it out. It sounds very intriguing. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Thank you.
But Meera, it's also almost something similar to your book because it's also a new age book, because don't you find that it would be similar to yours? There's something in common?
Yeah, yes, and I look forward to that. So yes.
Correct. I was thinking that.
Yeah, in fact, when I read the synopsis, of your book, I also thought that there will be some bit of, there might be some threads which might be a little bit common also. So I found that also quite interesting. And that is, I'm going to pick it up in my next travel, since everyone's been saying it's a quick read from before you get out of the flight, you're already finished reading it. It's exactly what I need next week.
But it's not at the airport, so pick it up before you go.
I got that.
Yeah.
I have a question for both the writers. This is more to do with your book design. How involved are you all in the designing of your covers? Since I'm a designer, I'm asking the two of you.
Very, very nice question. For mine, because mine was a tradition, I'm not sure about Deepa, mine was a traditionally published book. So the publisher came with their designer who designed, first send me a few, initial ideas, or, ask me what my ideas were for the book. And then they send me a few, typically like you would for a client. And then they got my okay, they suggested, it was sort of a, what can I say, a sort of a collaborative process, yes.
Okay.
Although I wasn't in touch with the designer directly at all. So I was in touch with my person, handler, maybe at Hachette, who was in touch with them. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and in my case, mine is not a traditionally published book. It is self-published through a self-publishing, platform. And I also actually, honestly, didn't want to wait after the book was published to go through that whole rigmarole because of a whole lot of reasons, which I'm not going into. But I was very much involved in the design of the book, from the colors to everything, because sometimes I felt that the designers were not getting it, they were just not getting it, So I actually gave them a lot of samples. I drew it out for them and I said, just recreate this. So that's how my design came about.
No more questions. Shall we go to the next author?
Yeah, we've got about a minute and a half. So if anybody wants one last quick question, there is time for that, but not more.
I don't know, this is a question more, it's an interesting observation for me anyway, that both authors chose a time in the life of the protagonist where they were undergoing a major change in their everyday existence to actually reflect, introspect, and talk about it. I was just curious how you both landed at that juncture to delve into your stories.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, there's a point.
I can answer that for me, right? The work that I do is gearing towards that point of self-reflection, and that's why my book is a trigger for people to self-reflect on their own lives, as the journey as she's going through whatever she's going through. It's a trigger to, kind of relook at what we are doing, because also, the pandemic made a difference. And all of this, my studies have told me that, our inner stability is what is important. The minute we find our inner stability, everything that's happening around us, will seem, difficult, but it won't be so challenging because our inner life is so stable. And, I really wanted to present this idea of inner stability through my book. And that cannot happen unless I take a step back from where I am. And that's why I looked at presenting it like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess for me, it was, that was the core of the book, right? A woman who is losing her memory. For me, it was natural that it would be an older woman, and what happens to her when what happens to her memories, what happens to her santulan, as they say, right? Balance, like you said, when she is faced with extraordinary circumstances in her case.
Could somebody explain, would this be called stream of consciousness? Prema?
I wouldn't know. I
don't think.
No, I don't. It wouldn't.
No.
That's different.
That is different. Also, Pankajam is not entirely straightforward in all her, diary entries. She's not all that reliable either. So I don't think it's stream of consciousness.
In mine, a bit does. In mine, a bit does, because she's not really writing her own memory. She's watching them. So there is a bit of consciousness and an unconscious mind actually playing up. throughout the entire, through the entire series.
Okay. So
great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Such a pleasure to meet all of you.
It's been a very nice introduction of you to us. So I hope you found it the same.
Yes, absolutely. I was telling Suresh, in fact, that, I find this group to be so alive. Otherwise, sometimes WhatsApp groups, you kind of stop looking at the messages, But this is one group that I actually do read the messages. I may not always respond, but I'm reading the messages, and the content that is being put out is really good. And it's a self-managed group, I think it's a very vibrant group, and I could see all of that today as well. Yeah, thank you.
Who's next? What happened?
Suresh or somebody.
Okay.
Projecting.
Now this is where we are. Are we becoming more and more serious as we go down, the authors?
Yes.
Good. Our next author is Jyoti.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Much as it sounds very cliche, I was never planning to write a book. So this just happened quite organically. I lost my father 8 years back, and I was a student of Carnatic music. Once I lost him, I just couldn't sing anymore. And, so this whole book is actually a homage to whatever I have learned. Most of it is about music. Some of it is about philosophy, of which I have been a student right through. Yeah, and my father was actually a student of one of the greats of Carnatic music, Shamaguri Srinivasayar. And yeah, so I've learned under him, but I just couldn't sing after he passed on. So I decided that whatever, this was a way of coping with my loss in my singing abilities. So and my flair for writing, I think, comes from my mother. She is an excellent writer herself, and all of the poems were critiqued by her, essentially. Now, I have a few friends here who have acceded to my request of presenting the poems and reading it out for you. I request Lakshmi to read the poem, Threads.
Thank you, Jyoti. When I first got the book in my hand, this poem got my attention. And I believe it's one of Jyoti's favorites too. I liked it because she just takes a piece of thread, sees a piece of thread, and there are so many associations and symbolization that happens in her mind. And of course, it's so lyrically written. Threads of existence, wrapped in fine gossamer. I'll just wait for a second till the screen sharing starts.
Sorry, it's not loading. Just give me a minute.
There we are. Right.
There you go.
Threads of existence, wrapped in gossamer thin filaments. At birth, tantuja, dexterously interwoven by the ingenious weaver through warp and weft. Silk, tensile, yet soft. Cotton, sturdy and cool. Binding threads, invested with the sacred thread, bidding one to learn and commit to heart injunction, and scripture. Threads that secure one to the other as though yoked. 3 knots, muscle, head, heart. Tethered together for life, bound to one another in thought, word, and deed. Indeed, threading the wick in place, dipped in oil, removing the fine cobweb of threads in one's mind, lighting to rid oneself of ego. Threadbare existence, proverbially poor, albeit learning to live by self in one's thoughts and mind, examining self and self-awareness, consciously seeking to thread one's consciousness and knowing oneself.
Yes, this is a poem which I penned on my travel to Bangalore. I was visiting my daughter and I just wrote it on a scrap of paper and went across to Bangalore and read it out to her. And she said, maybe you should think of, writing several more and making a book out of it. So that was where the whole thing started. And well, yes, at one stage I was writing a poem a week, just continuously flowed. I didn't know where it was coming from, but anyway, such was it. Now I invite Anandi to read the poem Raga.
Thank you, Jyoti. I'm happy to be part of your, I think it's just divine grace that you've been allowed to express yourself so beautifully. So this is
Yes.
Raga. Raga. Structured notes in a scala or in Vakra Sanchara. Basic tones, ascending or in descension. With intonations and oscillations. Short and elongated. Bursts with multiple intra-notes and micro-notes. Ghamakas, painting a picture to suit every mood, transient and almost tangible, yet elusive, being joyous, sonorous, poignant, mighty, tender, soothing, soulful, mellifluous, triumphant, haunting, pining and yearning for more, almost between the notes, yet relevant and beyond. Although mightily evocative, the spirit yet never fully conquered by the artist, verily trying to unravel the mystery and essence, the various shades and facets, much like a jeweler culling, cutting and exposing, in a process of growth of manodharma, emanating from an alert yet leisure-ridden mind, or in a pensive and meditative state of total silence, turiya, cutting out all the cacophonous notes and sounds, hush of a mellowed silence, allowing for the uncovering of the beauty of each single solitary note, or note strung aesthetically and mellifluously, found in the calm realm and depths of one's mind.
Thanks, Anandi. I think whenever I listen to artists on the stage, I'm waiting for the silence in the ragas because it's so pregnant. I'm trying to recognize the next phrase that comes in. But of course, I'm purely biased on this account, I guess. Now, I request Devika to read the poem Time.
Thank you, Jyoti. I'm so happy that I chose time to read. It sort of struck a chord in me. Time. Timelessness. Bound within time, eternal. Yet periodic. Measured in nanoseconds, milliseconds, right through to millennia Time. Mankind trying to harness essence of time down to a heartbeat, or the existence of a species like the tortoise or a crocodile. On each birthday, are we celebrating the passage of time or calibrating and measuring remnants of time? The passage of time routinely chiseling at the contours of the life of a person. Can time be measured like in a rise and fall of a tide? Peaking, cresting, falling in an unending time interval of heightened activity to a period of lull, and again in a state of even placidity, or in a rhythmic pattern of a drum roll, to silence and to an even beat of cyclical patterns, woven with intricate patterns, punctuated with bouts of silence, allowing us to savor the moments of acceleration or deceleration, of basking in true happiness at a fleeting pace, or endure periods of testing trials, eventually harnessing depleted energies, only to understand and celebrate each passing moment in perfect gratitude and thankfulness in abundant measure. Thank you.
So good.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Devika. Thank you. Yeah, at this juncture, I had sent out the book to several musicians, and out of the blue, I get a call from the Mridangam maestro, Umayalpuram Shivaraman. And he said, I've gone through the book, and just even if nobody knows you, it gives a peek into the cultural ethos of your family. And I think that was a huge feather in my cap. As also our very own member, Alarmel Valli, internationally acclaimed danseuse, she said it allowed her to journey through a rich and diverse landscape filled with myriad colors and contours. So this is
wonderful.
Definitely something that I,
Wonderful, wonderful.
Very, very nice.
Very nice.
Completely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
I thank all my friends who have, spent time reading this. Yeah, and thank you for the enthusiasm. Thank you, Suresh, for that invaluable tech support. Thank you.
Hey, Jyoti, I got one of your books early on. You had sent it to my sister Rekha, and so I devoured it. Every word in every sentence, in every poem you wrote, made me let it just seep into my body, into my bloodstream, into my whatever spirit. It was so amazingly soothing, so amazingly thought-provoking. I can honestly say I have not read a poetry book as impactful as what you've written, particularly as you synthesize so much of our cultural element into your thinking. So thank you. It was amazing, amazing read.
Thank you, Mala.
Thank you, Jyoti. And like as soon as I got the book, I read it once, and then I read it again. I've been reading it again and again, and every time I read it, I find something very new in it, a very different perspective, which I'm able to enjoy. In fact, last night I took the book again. I thoroughly enjoyed each and every poem, and now when Devika, Anandi, and Lakshmi reading it just I once again I want to read it today also. Just one small question. How long? What was the time frame, Jyoti, for you to write this?
See, I started in May 2019. and it went on till April 2020 before I got this book together. I am writing still, but it doesn't flow so easily. I must confess.
Just if I can ask one more question only, like did you have, when you were writing the ragas, did you have any kritis in your mind while selecting the ragas, or it just flowed like that? What was, I mean, that when you were writing the ragas?
See, for instance, I was literally following all the functions, or rather all the festivals, Hindu festivals that occur, and based on that, I went back to the ragas that have a lot more, what shall I say, offshoots of the same raga. So then I pitched on, Harikambodi for, Krishnashtami. And things like that, and worked my way through.
Just amazing.
Being a student, you also learn all of, the theory. As you learn, you're imbibing that. So,
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Very nice. And it's a mixture of spiritualism, Vedanta, and then the bhakti rasa of everything. I thoroughly enjoyed it, Jyoti. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And it's so touching, Jyoti, that you said when you talked about father, because I've known you for so long. I knew you when you were a student of father's and how you used to sing. So, for you to have written this in his, just after you lost him, I can imagine the depth of your feeling. And and you used to sing so brilliantly, and after him you lost your voice, so it's very touching that all your expression has come out through poetry. So
that's right.
So it's really wonderful. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Alagu.
It's wonderful to hear them read out by these three.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it was performed.
To life yet once more for me. I'm going to go read it again, or maybe request some more time to have people read from your book. It's just absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, and thank you, ladies, for reading it out. It was wonderful.
This was, I didn't approach any publisher. I self-published it. So you won't find it in stores, Anyway, that's first
why don't you put it on the internet? Because it is I think we should try it that way.
Maybe. Yeah, I should do my homework for
that. One more question. Jyoti, who designed the cover page? Was it you?
Yes, I did.
It's wonderful.
Actually.
It's beautiful. It's so serene, so calm, like the poems.
Thank you.
Jyoti, I have also a question for you, Jyoti. I read the book and I dip into it every now and then. Just take out any book, and somehow it always seems to be the correct book which suits my mood at that particular moment. It's always coming out like that. Now, here what I wanted to ask you, this is in particular about your raga-based poems. The ethos is so Indian. The ragas, as you say, the festivals to which they are connected. And yet, you are able to express yourself with so much felicity in English. Now, was that difficult for you? Or did your thoughts come out a bit in your own language, mother tongue, which I assume is Tamil? And were you able to correlate the two? How did that work?
Actually, my biggest regret is that I can't write my mother tongue.
Okay.
Yeah, I happened to start writing in English and it just flowed.
It did, okay.
I would commit it to the grace and blessing of the gurus and spiritual gurus, as well as, the gurus that I've had. I guess I can't really explain.
Yeah, I can understand. You can't explain, but it just happened. Yes.
That's yeah.
Oh, lovely. I have a quick question if we have time. So how did you order the poems? Like how did you decide which goes first, which goes next, that sort of thing?
Actually, I had given the order in which I had written, but strangely, the publisher sort of got it in a different order. But I didn't choose to, change it. I just left it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, some of them are very reminiscent of haikus, right? Short, very short, but they say so much. It was very nice hearing the three ladies perform also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Meera.
Truly wonderful. And it comes straight from the heart, Jyoti. You know, you can just feel yourself in that, in all your poems. Yeah.
Thank you, Alabu.
I love the way that you bring in the importance of silence when you're talking about words. You know, please, all of you who have the book, go and read the poem Words. You know, there's a total love of the language, and then she suddenly brings in the importance of silence. I thought that poem really captured. If I ever had to read any of your poems, I would read that one.
Okay.
That's lovely. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I'm done with my presentation, or what you call it. Anyway, you can, perhaps move on.
Go to the next author.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we are becoming much more serious. Issue. This book requires so much understanding before you understand yoga. Okay. Over to Alagu.
Do I start, Suresh? I don't see myself. Do I just start?
Yeah.
Oh. Firstly, I want to say that I was wondering why what I was doing among all these books, because truly we're in a very different, I thought we were going to be on a very different plane, because this is a textbook and all of you have done it from your own minds, your stories. But then I realized, listening to you, that everything relates to the mind. And Patanjali's Yoga Sutra is truly about the study of the mind. And now I know a connection, even Jyoti's poems, everything relates to the mind. And so I think I have a little more confidence in saying, okay, I fit in. So I'm going to start. I'm sorry I'm reading, because at my age, I'm not able to remember everything. And so forgive me for that. Okay. Yoga, friends, yoga was my tryst with destiny. The year 2002 saw me enrolling myself in a 2-year certificate course at Yoga Rakshanam, a newly opened yoga institute. Back in a classroom scenario, after 30 odd years, as a mature student, I realized immediately that I was in the hands of 3 extremely skilled and competent teachers, Sri D.V. Sridhar, Srimati Vijay Vasu, and Srimati Radha Sridhar. I am today deeply indebted to them for all that I have learned. To each one of them, my most humble pranams. The course itself was a comprehensive one, covering the theory, practice, and therapy of asana, human physiology, and psychology. And of course, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. My deep, lifelong interest in Vedanta drew me instantly to the sutras. For practical reasons, the second chapter, Sadhanapada, is always taught first. On one particular day, I distinctly remember a pin-drop silence as the 15th sutra of chapter 2 was explained. Parinama tapa samskara dukkhehi guna vriti virodhacha dukkhameva sarvam vivekinaha. The first part of this sutra defines the cause of sorrow in us. Parinama, when we are unable to accept change. Tapa is a sorrow stemming out of a yearning unfulfilled, a thirst not quenched, and samskara, sorrow derived from a forced change in habit. I did not know the silence in my fellow students' minds, but for me, I suddenly woke up to the wisdom of Sage Patanjali, and from then on, it was total involvement. The great sage had, with rare directness, and analyzed how we know what we know, and why we suffer. He then provides us with a well thought out program to overcome suffering by seeing things as they are and not as we want or would like them to be, which is Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha, a mind free from disturbance, a mind of absolute clarity. Having completed the course and as I travel the globe, meeting people from different countries, practicing yoga and observing some of the new age yoga classes, dance yoga, aerobic yoga, heat yoga, and so on, I was saddened to find that the true purpose of yoga, as taught in the sutras, was most often sidelined and lost. As an enthusiast who had come to value its teachings, it saddened me that yoga had been brought to the mere physical. It was then that I felt strongly that I should strive in my own small way to change this. And so I approached Sri Devi Sridhar. We thought the best way was to write a simple, practical book through which one could understand this deep and ancient wisdom. And so, after a year of restudying the sutras and completing my notes one season in Kodi, I was ready to start. On my way down, I met with Katya Osborne, Douglas, and Chris Kielke of Ramana Ashram. And their parting words of advice to me were, Alagu, be very definite of who you're writing this book for, the readership you are addressing. It was on that journey down to Madurai Airport that the first 10 verses tumbled out of my mind. And I quickly took a crumbled bill out of my handbag and started writing. Back in Chennai, I showed them to Sri DVS. He rather liked them, but said, these are only 10. Let's see if the other 185 come. And so the project started. I thanked Sri DVS for agreeing to do this project with me, for he is the real authority behind the book. I wrote and rewrote the sutras verses many times until he was fully satisfied that the meaning had come across accurately. It often occurs to me that he has been the head and me the heart to this project. To me, it has been a labor of love, perhaps one of the happiest times of my life. And as I felt the great sage holding my hand as I wrote. This book is far from conventional. In writing this book, we have dared to be different, reaching out to yoga enthusiasts across the world who have taken to yoga in its current wave of popularity to understand this practice by taking them beyond asanas. And so it has been written in the simplest of words in a lucid and lyrical manner. However, concepts remain deep and need reflection. It is not a one-time read. It is a book of thoughts that needs to be digested and slowly and contemplated on. Perhaps it could be a stepping stone to comprehending the works of the great masters. Let me now give you a peek into the book. Patanjali is known as the father and architect of yoga for having compiled and systematized all existing knowledge of the subject, giving it a philosophical structure. He wrote the Yoga Sutras sometime between 400 BC and 200 BC. The text consists of 195 sutras divided into 4 chapters. Samadhipada on contemplation, Sadhanapada on the practice of yoga, Vibhuti-pada on the siddhis or powers that could be achieved, Kaivalya-pada on liberation or freedom from sorrow caused by bondage and attachment, freedom being the goal. These sutras are soaked in wisdom, each one of them giving you a direction. One realizes then how essential a basic understanding of the Yoga Sutras are to bring body, mind, and senses under control, enabling us to live life in harmony with ourselves and all around us. He starts with explaining what is yoga. In Sutras 2, 3, and 4 of the chapters 1, I will read them to give you an idea of how I translated in verse. Sutra 2 is Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. And what is yoga, one might ask? A state of mind wherein one longs to bask, clear of its activities, the mind focused inward, unmindful of all that makes it reach outward. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. In that clear state of mind, one can see the vision of consciousness that is the real me, as pure as at birth, unconditioned by worldly ways, an embodiment of truth, love, purity, and grace. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. If not in that state of yoga mind, disturbances occur of many a kind. Blind will you be to who is the real you. Life will be an illusion and living too. He goes on to describe the mind and its working in detail and what is the actual cause of sorrow, which is avidya, or wrong perception. He then gives us a remedy to overcome this, the Ashtanga path of yoga, which when practiced leads to liberation or freedom. He describes the 8 steps in detail. Yama, your relationship with the outside world. Niyama, your relationship with yourself, self-discipline. Asana, to keep the body in good health. Pranayama, to focus and understand the subtle energy or prana that keeps you alive, that is your breath. Pratyahara, the withdrawal of... What is that? Okay. Pratyahara, the withdrawal or control of the senses from the sense pleasures, resulting in the control of the sense organs. This leads you to start the inward journey. Dharana, when distractions disappear, there is a single-minded focus, pointed focus of the mind, leading to dhyanam, where there is a steady and continuous flow of attention towards a point of focus. Samadhi, the object of focus, engulfs the meditator and appears as one with himself. Self-awareness is lost and the feeling of oneness prevails. Thus, by the dedicated practice of Ashtanga Yoga, impurities of the mind and body are destroyed and the light of wisdom shines forth. Quoting one of my favorite sutras, chapter 133, Patanjali's recipe for happiness. Maitri, Karuna, Mudikopekana, Sukha Dukha, Punya, Punya, Viseshanam, Bhavanata, Chitta Prasadanam. Friendliness, joy at another's happiness, compassion towards another in sorrow, pride at another's achievements, and unmoved by others' errors will surely lead to peace and tranquility of mind and a beautiful disposition so rare to find. So, coming back to my journey, once the script was ready, we sent it to various publishers and were thrilled when we received a mail from Rupa and Company agreeing to publish the book. Our very own Valli and Tim Murari launched the book, the first edition, as The Song of Truth in 2008, as a print of 1,000 copies, and later as another 1,000 copies, after which I guess it was not commercially viable. 11 years down the line, just out of the blue, I felt the urge to reprint the book in a more colorful and attractive version, so it would reach out to the younger generations. I suddenly felt a conscious wave of positivity to the idea, and it became a journey of joy, with our very own Sharon giving me the idea of incorporating the vibrant paintings of Sohan Khatri and making that possible, and also our Lakshmi for helping me re-edit the book. In the revised edition, Understanding Yoga, we have incorporated the artworks of Sohan Khatri, yogi, poet, and artist. His work reaffirms the brilliance and creative excellence that the meditative mind can achieve in any chosen field. In the artist's own words, first I empty my mind of all images. They dissolve into primordial space. One's emptiness, I feel, should communicate with the emptiness of the canvas. He sums up all that Patanjali's Ashtanga path leads to and stands for. We tell the story of the yogi as he takes wings to set off on his journey to seek self-realization, the goal of yoga. He practices the Ashtanga path diligently till he gains complete control of his body and mind and gains immense power to make the impossible possible. Once gained, he is free from all fetters and the mind. He is now ready to fly and become one with nature and his own true self. We have thus endeavored to add value and meaning to the practice of yoga, and should, by this reading, a spark be lit to kindle an understanding of the true purpose of yoga and its deep spiritual benefits, then our mission will have been accomplished and the reader hopefully would have started along the path, which will surely lead to living in a state of poise and mental peace. On a more personal note, to me, the study of the sutras, reading and rereading them, drew me towards feeling the intangible, but the real, the divinity within me and the divinity within you. It has also made me feel the universality of its teachings. Yes, it is the same thread that runs through the warp and weft of the fabric of humankind and all creation. We are all part of the same whole, of the same divinity, a realization so essential in today's disturbed and divided world. And so I conclude that. I'm sorry I had to give you a lecture, but still.
Alagu, if I may
Yes.
say so, the artwork behind you is just perfect for the yoga.
I know, that is Suresh's work. And that is
No. I'm talking about where you're sitting. Behind you is this wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. I didn't notice that. I'm sitting in Jyoti's house. I never
know that.
knew. I know. So that is Patanjali. That is not me. He made it happen. Yes.
And if I can, of all your, I love the book. You know, like Jyoti's poems, I don't read it in one lot. I take one, like the way Prema said, read. So if I may share my number one of your sutras.
Okay,
I
please.
read it out.
Yeah.
From the limitless void comes the limited dot.
Yes,
and all shapes and forms emerge from this spot. But the infinite still encompasses all. And the ultimate goal is in this ocean to fall. Oh, I love it.
Even I love that. There's no space to say all this, but I'm so glad you picked it out because it is one of my favorites. Yeah. And even in Sohan Kadri's painting, everything revolves around the dot.
Dot.
You know, that's where he starts. So, yeah. So.
I would like to say that I'm in absolute awe of all you authors, but especially the poets. Jyoti goes to Bangalore, you come down from Madurai, and it just flows out. When I'm traveling, all I'm thinking is, I hope I get the right bathroom at the right time.
Lakshmi, you're just too funny.
Yeah.
Well, I think these last two readings, particularly for me, given my present circumstances, my dad passed away 3 or 4 weeks ago as well. And so I can relate to what both of you have said, particularly. And the words are just amazingly absorbing. It's like a cocoon that I can actually sit inside, meditate, and try to find meaning in life's current circumstances. I'm not really busy. I don't have a job that I have to rush to and bosses to worry about and subordinates to care for and all that stuff. It's all done, gone. So I'm just sitting in my me cocoon and trying to make sense of Mala 2.0, if you will. You know, what is my future and those kinds of introspection. So reading stuff like you wrote, Jyoti, particularly, is very, very helpful. And Alaku, yours is the next textbook also that I'm reading because I'm studying yoga, I'm studying Sanskrit, I'm learning Ramayanam, and all of these things are sort of getting knit together through the thoughts that you both have presented in your two different books. So once again, I have to say, this is like an amazing satsang today. I've just had such a good time. Thank you.
And it's really funny, unless you're really interested or involved in the subject, you can't read this book. Because I know my mother, my brother, my husband, nobody can look at it. So it's really not for everyone. It's just if you're inclined to this path, you can pick it up.
That's right.
So I feel sad about it. And I try to reach this out to people interested in yoga. It's not a book that will fly. It's really a book that will bring you back inwards. Yeah. And when you're into the subject.
Mr. Alagamuthu, this is Tukaram. I have a small question for you. No, I have been practicing yoga, only asanas and the poses for the last maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
I tried to read about yoga. I got this book by Sir Aurobindo.
Oh, it's a red heavy book. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the synthesis of yoga, 900 pages. I tried to read 80 pages. I did not get anything out of it. Okay. So if somebody reads your book, what you expect them to get out of it?
I mean, are you asking me reads my book?
Hey, someone reads, suppose I'm sure I'm going to buy your book and read it. What should I get out of it?
You know, the words are so simple that you will understand what yoga is immediately. Like I too have Aurobindo's synthesis. I've got every almost book and every, you know, all the great masters, I have their book. But unless you understand the basic, and that's why we made a book like this. When you understand this, then you can go into reading anything else. And that's why we made a book that is so simple.
Yeah. I will read it and then send you my impression of the book. That's good.
Where
Thank
you
you.
want, I can send you a copy, or it's an Odyssey.
Oh yeah,
Or
please
on
give it,
Amazon.
give it to Suresh. I will get it from him.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
done.
You must give it.
I'm reading your book a little at a time, Alago, because you know it has to be savored, and you read
Yes.
a word or two a day and things like that. My sister also came and she really liked it. She was also reading. So when I'm through with it, then I'll give you my, you know,
Your
split,
feedback. Yeah. I know. It's just that it was just actually an inspiration. It's just something I wanted to do because I realized in the beginning of learning, we didn't understand anything. And suddenly when we got involved, and then we realized that all the textbooks that we have are very difficult to understand. They're on a different level of philosophy. So that is why we made something so easy to read. And since it's poetry, it's, you know, lyrical, it just comes easily. Yeah. Of course, the concept is still very deep. So you have to read it slowly and think about it and digest it. Yeah.
But it's an amazing creative thing, you know, for you, the poetry coming out like that. You can't sit and, you know, write it. You know, poetry has to come on its own, isn't it?
I always say Patanjali was holding my hand as I wrote because I'm not a writer. So it was just an inspiration and a passion because I love my yoga course so much. That's all. It was nothing.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I really wish I could write poetry. It is so moving, both of your books. I don't know what to say. I wish I could write poetry. And it's interesting how both of you said it feels like somebody is leading you down the path. I'm sure that's a lot of humility also. But just in awe and, you know, with the craft itself, I think poetry reaches a different plane of your soul altogether.
Absolutely.
I really love this session. Thank you so much, Suresh, for organizing and, you know, suggesting the idea also.
Yes, we must thank Suresh a lot.
Yes.
Yes,
Can
we
we have a
so much.
can we do a round of applause
Thank
on
you.
Zoom?
Everybody, that's wonderful. Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you, Suresh. And thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. I hope nobody was bored.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyable
Thank you
afternoons
about
this year.
this
Amazing
new version
books
of
to be read now.
SansSerif meeting.
Sorry.
And Geeta, I'd like to tell you that, you know, the Yoga Sutra is all about the study of the mind. So when you are in the mental, when you're in that area, I think it's a very good thing for you to understand. So you should read this because it's really all about the study of the mind. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, you know, especially the last piece that you mentioned, you know, the divinity being in all of us. And some, you know, along those lines, I thought that was so beautifully kind of came together well with the rest of the reading.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, so nice to have met you. And for the first time in this sort of a scenario, thank you. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Lovely.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you all, everybody.
Thank all
Bye.
of you extremely
I
for
think
giving
we are
us this.
meeting physically, right? Soon?
Yeah, Sonu said her thing is ready, but I don't know if everyone else is ready to come because her Apara gallery is ready. Okay, so whatever.
I have a question. Do you think there's any other book club in the world which is as great as ours?
Wow.
No way, no way.
Oh.
No way, simple.
Actually, let's be humble and say we're just doing our best.
Yeah.
I'm to say
No,
no.
No, I don't think Devika, it's not that we are doing our best. I don't think we are even trying. And even without trying, we've become a beautiful, homogeneous group who's genuinely interested in the other person. That is what I found most touching about this. When you say I did this, or my daughter did it, or my son, or whatever, there is an enormous outpouring of interest. And all of us like to try to listen to it, whatever happens. And we appreciate, we pass comments, and it's almost as though somebody close to us, even though we may not know that child or whoever it is, has done the work that needs to be rewarded.
Yeah.
So that is the amazing
no other
thing.
book club has members like ours.
And
Yes.
I'd like to add to that, because I've been part of other book clubs also, honestly. And, I kind of also was running a little bit small one back in Bombay, and I must say, this is the first thing that I also told Mr. Suresh when I got into it, that there's so much structure, there is rigor, there is interest that this group brings in, which is very different. Otherwise, it kind of goes into, debating which book to read, and then there is no conclusion, and then the meeting never happens very often, but here there is a structure, there is a rigor, there's a discipline that everybody brings in, and there's a genuine interest in reading, I think. So yes, to answer your question, I think this book club is quite different and unique in that sense.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice. I know we've almost become like a family, as I say,
Totally.
That's true.
Alagu, I think we portray mudita. We rejoice when somebody else has happiness. And, that's it. We do that.
And that makes you happy,
Yes.
So it's nice. I mean, there's so much to learn from this text, if you want to learn, of course. That's different.
No, and what you did, Alagu, to bring out the second edition was a wonderful thing, because I had read the first one immediately. I bought the second one and took it with me abroad. And the person to whom I had gifted one of the first copies, he just looked at this and said, "Oh, no, I want this." So, well, I couldn't say no. So he took it away from me. So I don't have it anymore. But this is what... But this is what happened to it, because it's so eye-catching and so beautifully done that he said, yes, what you said is exactly right. Appeals to the younger generation. He is now, by then he's a German, but he has become a yoga teacher.
Okay. But I was so lucky, because anyone I went to just said yes. Like, I got a sponsor, a very generous sponsorship to do the type of printing and coloring, with all these colors. It was expensive. The designer cost me a lot. And everybody I spoke to, I mean, I just had to ask and it was done. So it was really not me. It was someone else doing.
Yes, it was a different hand guiding. Yes, a divine hand is behind it.
Yeah, it was a joy, truly. So I'm happy with it, but now I need to see that it reaches where it has to reach. Half of it has reached, because I need to, tell people what yoga is. I mean, that was the purpose of this book. So now I've sent it to America, to Germany, here, there. Let's hope for the best.
Lovely.
So thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you all so much.
So bye-bye.
Yeah,
thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Suresh, for putting this all together. Thank everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again,
Devika.
Suresh,
you. Bye.
brilliant as always.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you, Suresh.
guys.
Thank you, sir.
Bye,
Thank you.
Purva. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
See you all next
Mala, for
month.
giving us this book.
Anna, thank you. Thank you, Suresh.
Okay, leave.